You are listening to episode number 75 of the Secondary Science Simplified podcast. Welcome back to week 2 of our summer podcast PD. Last week we talked all about labs, and so if you missed it, go back and check out episode 74. This week I wanted to talk to you about how to do your end of the year classroom cleanout without the freakout that may accompany it for you. Maybe you're moving rooms, so you've got to completely pack up your stuff this year. Or maybe you just have to clear out for a fresh coat of paint on the walls and wax on the floors. Regardless, you may be tempted to just do the bare minimum, aka shove everything into your Monica closet or your storage cabinets and run toward summer break. And listen, I get it. The warm air and the ability to use the bathroom whenever you want are calling your name. And it would just be so easy to shove everything in the corners and deal with it come August or September. But I am a big Kendra Adachi fan, aka the lazy genius, who I've referenced probably 100 times on this podcast. And Kendra is all about doing what you need to do today to serve future you. So let's serve future you. Let's do your end of year classroom cleanout right now. And let's do it the Secondary Science Simplified way. Are you with me? Let's do it. This is Secondary Science Simplified, a podcast for secondary science teachers who want to engage their students and simplify their lives. I'm Rebecca Joyner from It's Not Rocket Science. As a high school science teacher turned curriculum writer, I am passionate about helping other science teachers love their jobs, serve their students, and do it all in only 40 hours a week. Are you ready to rock the time you spend in your classroom and actually have a life outside of it? You are in the right place, teacher friend. Let's get to today's episode. Like I said, welcome back to the podcast in week 2 of our podcast PD series. All summer long, I'm doing free PD on this pod. If you head to itsnotrocketscienceclassroom.com/podcastpd, you can check out our calendar and see what is coming over the next few months. And you'll also get a sheet that you can use to take notes on each episode and do it alongside your coworkers, which would be a fun thing y'all can do together this summer. And I kind of need to address the elephant in the room at the start of this episode because I've gotten a few DMs. And I know some of you are like, Rebecca, it's mid-May. Why are you already saying that we're in a summer series? Well, y'all, here in the South, it is summer. And I know many schools where I am are already done, or they're wrapping up this week because a lot of schools down here go back in July. Well, I know there are others of you that are still in school and you're there till the end of June, but then you don't go back until mid-September. So to cover all of our bases, this PD is running from now basically through the end of September. It's going to still feel like summer where I live basically until October. So we're just going to keep this going as long as it feels like summer to me. Okay, so that's what we're doing with this podcast PD summer series. That's really like 3 months long, and I hope you enjoy it. So last week was labs. This week's topic is your classroom clean out. Now, lucky for you, I have a lot of what I refer to as big black trash bag energy, and I have this just extraordinary level on a regular basis. But especially right now, we are currently mid-moving out of our house into a rental house. We're going to sell the house that we currently own and live in. And this rental house is about 600 square feet smaller than our current house. So I'm really getting to utilize my type A, Enneagram 1, home edit, fangirl energy. Like it is all being channeled. My label maker is just doing the most right now. It is working overtime to keep up with my spreadsheets and my to-do lists that are everywhere all over our house because I am in my element and I'm thriving and also equal parts driving my family crazy with clear plastic storage containers. But for the sake of my family, I'm going to channel all of my energy in the next 20 minutes for your benefit and apply it to your classroom. And so first things first, I don't tackle any project without doing a spreadsheet or a checklist. I always say that in another life, maybe a really good job for me that wasn't being a teacher or being a curriculum writer would be a project manager because I love a spreadsheet. I love a to-do list. I love taking something really big and breaking it down into tiny pieces. And so this is no different, and I've done this for you. I have a very specific and easily digestible checklist for you that I used to use in my classroom twice a year to organize my space. It's called the Classroom Reset Challenge. You can grab it at itsnotrocketscienceclassroom.com/reset for free or by clicking the link in the show notes. And it's basically just a free PDF resource, and it breaks your teaching space into 5 big task areas: your desk, your filing cabinet, the front of your room, your storage cabinets you may have, and a storage closet you may have. And it's set up in a way that you focus on one task area a day. So over the course of the week, you knock out all 5 and then you're done. And each task area has its own very specific checklist to walk through. So each one is just like a little baby step in the right direction. And each time you can check one off, you can picture me just giving you a virtual high five and cheering you on and pushing you to the next area. And there's also a 6th bonus task in there for all of you overachievers who like extra credit, and that's your chemical storage closet. But I count it really as bonus because I don't want you doing this one by yourself. This is really like a phone a friend, bring in someone else in the department if you're not the only one in your department, because it's a scary, intimidating place to go in that dusty, smelly closet. I know you know what it smells like. It's so distinct. I think there'll never be a time in my life that I don't know that exact smell of that supply closet. And I don't want you venturing in there solo. Okay, so for that task, you'll need a friend. But one of the fun things is if your coworkers help you with the storage supply closet, they might want to know why you're doing this. And you can say, it's a part of a free summer podcast PD series I'm doing. And then you can share with them, it's itsnotrocketscienceclassroom.com/podcastpd, and link them in and get them to join you all summer long. And this would be such a cool thing to do with your coworkers this summer. So I encourage you to do that. But here's the deal. As you are doing this, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to kind of tell you how to best use this free PDF. You're going to set up your classroom and you're going to divide it into kind of 5 areas. You could pick like 5 lab tables if you have them, or just 5 corners. Well, there can't probably be 5 corners unless your classroom is a pentagon, but 5 spaces, okay? And one's going to be your prime real estate. One's going to be essential storage, one's deflect, another's donate and dump. Okay, prime real estate, essential storage, deflect, donate, dump. All right, so you need those 5 areas. And as you go through each section of your room using your Classroom Reset Challenge checklist that I've got for you made already, you're going to ask yourself 5 questions. This is almost like a flow chart, or even you could even say it's almost like a dichotomous key. You're going to walk through this and your answer, yes or no, is going to determine what you do next. Okay, so I want you to listen to this while you're doing this. So again, we're going to start with one space at a time. Start with your desk, work through all 5 of these questions, then move on to the front of your classroom, then move on to your filing cabinet, whatever. Okay, so first, as you're going through every item on your desk, let's say, ask yourself, do I use this on a daily or weekly basis? If the answer is yes, go put it in your prime real estate spot. That is prime real estate if you're using it on a weekly basis. If the answer is no, go on to the next question and ask yourself number 2, did I even use this at all this year? If the answer is yes, yay, that means it's useful. Okay, so you're going to put, this is essential storage then. This is something that you need to make space for. You're going to put it in the essential storage area. And then at the end of this, you're going to find a drawer or a cabinet to put it in, and you're going to label it so you don't forget. Okay, you can label it on the actual drawer or cabinet if you're allowed. But I know some of you aren't allowed to label your things. So if not, label it in your lesson plans. Go into your digital lesson plans or whatever it is that you actually refer to when you're trying to remember what you're doing, and put chopsticks for the natural selection lab are in the drawer under the window, or the hot plates for the sweet tea reaction rate lab are in Tamara's classroom, and I got to go get them there. So go ahead and write it down so you don't forget. Now, if you asked yourself, did I use this at all this year? And the answer was no. Now you move on to question number 3. And question number 3 is, would I have used it if I had known it existed? Because maybe you just found something like a model kit that you had no idea that you had. And if the answer is yes, put that in the essential storage area. It needs to have its own home in a cabinet or drawer that's labeled so you do not forget about it, okay? And then if the answer was no, you would not have used it even if you had known it existed, go on to question 4 and ask yourself, could someone else in my building use this? If the answer is yes, this is a deflect situation. Put it in the deflect pile, and at the end of the day, we're going to do a little field trip, and we're going to walk around the classroom, and we're going to deflect. We're going to give all this stuff to the different people it belongs to. Y'all, I had a classroom closet once that stored the world geography books. Why that was in my classroom, I don't know. The teacher who taught that didn't even know those books existed. Okay, so you're going to deflect that stuff to another space. If you've had something like this that you've had found in your classroom, please email me or DM me and tell me. Y'all always tickle me so much when I hear about the things you discover when you do this classroom reset challenge. Okay, so that's your fourth question. Could someone else use it? If the answer is no, you move on to the fifth and final question, which is, do I donate this or do I dump it? So is this something that I can donate? I would put it in the donate pile. So think about those model kits I referenced. Maybe you don't use them. No one else in your building is going to use them. First thing I would do is I would go to your admin and see, hey, am I given permission to sell this on Facebook Marketplace and then use the profit to buy something I actually need for our classroom and see what they say? Because, hey, you could get $20 for some of that stuff and then use that for something you actually need. Or maybe you could donate it to a homeschool co-op in your area that could really like it. Or where I live, we have Facebook groups that are like buy nothing groups. So you just like post things for free. If your admin says you can't sell it, maybe you just give it away for free because no one's going to be using it. Or if they say you can't let it leave the building, but you're like, well, I don't want it, no one else does. Ask them where you're supposed to store it because you don't have room in your classroom anymore. Okay. And then the other option is this something that needs to dump? And then that's a trash it situation, y'all. Okay. You're going to put it in the dump pile and we are going to trash it at the end of this. Okay. Now you may have to talk to your head custodian to figure out if there's a certain way it needs to be disposed of, because you might be like me and you might find in one of your scary corner cabinets that there are a bunch of unidentifiable preserved specimens in mason jars that look like they're homemade, that maybe a teacher before you had made in their home and brought to school, and you don't know what they are. So you may have to refer to the custodian for how is the most appropriate way to dump some of these things. But that's why we have our dump pile. So you're going to get it all in one space. And then at the end of the day, you'll worry about how to actually dump it. Okay. So right now we're just sorting it into those spaces. So at the end of all of this, you will have walked through these 5 questions for your desk and organized everything on your desk into either prime real estate, essential storage, deflect, donate, dump. And then you're going to repeat this the next day and do it all with your filing cabinet, and repeat it the next day and do it all for your storage closet. Okay. And you're going to keep going and adding to this, asking the 5 questions, organizing stuff into the 5 areas, and then moving it on from there. And y'all, I cannot tell you how good it's going to feel to walk through this and reset your physical space by doing this. I know it's so easy just to close those doors and shove the things in it and not think twice. But you'll breathe so much easier walking in July or August or September, whenever you go back, to come back and have this all done. Okay? Serve future you by doing this classroom clean out now so you don't have to have a freak out later. Okay? And listen, get your students involved. Y'all, this is the perfect task if you have post-AP exam students, or maybe even post-EOC, your activity, instead of watching Finding Nemo and having them write down 10 ecological interactions they observe while watching this movie, have them help you do this. They would love to help you with the deflect pile and go on little field trips and deliver things to your coworkers, or put them on a scavenger hunt with the dump pile. Your job is to go find the head custodian and figure out what the heck we're supposed to do with these mason jars of specimens, okay? Like, get them involved. This is a really, really easy way to do that if you kind of have that weird nebulous time at the end of the year and you need some help. Use them, put them to work. They can help you out. Or if people need some volunteer hours at the end of the school year, now's the time. Okay, so if you're following along with our summer podcast PD and you're using that reflection sheet for your action item, you need to write down, I need to download that classroom reset challenge. I'm going to start today with my desk. Remember, one part of the challenge at a time. Ask yourself those 5 questions every time. And you're going to divide into the 5 areas every time as well. And we're going to take this one area at a time, bit by bit. And then by the end of the week, you'll have tackled the entire thing. Okay. And if you're like, oh, I don't want to forget all the questions. Fun fact, we have transcripts now for every podcast episode. I think it was starting with like episode 68 maybe is when this first started. So if you go to the show notes, which can always be found at itsnotrocketscienceclassroom.com/episode 75. And if you scroll down, there'll be like a little drop-down menu and there's a transcript. So it'll basically take exactly what I said and put it in a transcript for you. It's transcribing it. And then you can see those questions written down too, and you can reference those. And y'all, nothing brings me greater joy than seeing you all tag me when you're doing this. So if you're doing the Classroom Reset Challenge this year, please tag me on Instagram at its.not.rocketscience, or Shoot me some pics over email so I can see your progress. Or if you find something crazy while you're in there, I would love to hear it. It would just make me laugh and it would make my week. And now I want to also just say before I let you go, I'm specifically doing a shorter episode because I know this is a bigger task. And I also know that these first 2 weeks of our podcast PD, the homework has been a lot. Last week with the lab audit and this week with the classroom reset challenge. But I want you to know it's not going to always be this way. Most of the time, the action items can be a lot smaller. But I really want to capitalize on your hopefully end of year motivation to end strong that hopefully exists and do these big things now because they're just going to serve you so much better later. But also stay tuned because the next couple of weeks especially, I'll give you a breather on the action items. They won't be as intense, okay? And y'all, if you're enjoying the podcast and especially this series, I would just love it if you would leave a rating, a review, or share it with a friend. I would love to get as many secondary science teachers as possible in on this free summer podcast PD just because I want to serve them. I want this to serve as many people as possible. And so your words and your recommendations are the best way to do that. I'm telling you, word of mouth is the best way to support It's Not Rocket Science and the Secondary Science Simplified podcast. So I would love it if you would share it with a friend, and I'll see you next week. All right, teacher friends, that wraps up today's episode. If you're looking for an easy way to start simplifying your life as a secondary science teacher, head to itsnotrocketscienceclassroom.com/challenge to grab your classroom reset challenge. And guess what? It's totally free. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you here next week. Until then, I'll be rooting for you, teacher friend.